Good evening, SportsZone. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aglialoro. I am your host. This is SportsZone, coming live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We got a good show for you tonight. Going to be joined by Dave Hastings and hopefully Erich Treslar in a matter of moments. Got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to continue our division by division preview of 2018 NFL season. We did the AFC and the NFC Western divisions last week, so this week we will be doing the AFC and the NFC Southern divisions. And we got a bunch of other stuff to get to as well. Before everybody comes in, though, I am going to do something we kind of haven't done the last couple of weeks, but what I generally try to start off every show with. And we're going to run down the live scoreboard, the games that are going on right now in the world of Major League Baseball. And we're going to start with the Mets, who were tied 2-2 about 30 seconds ago, and now they're losing 3-2 to the Baltimore Orioles in the bottom of the seventh inning. Of course, they had a good win against the New York Yankees last night with Jacob deGrom on the mound, and tonight it just doesn't look like it's going to happen again. It's just been one of those seasons, terrible season, can't wait until it's over, and can't even pull out a victory against one of the worst teams in baseball, so that's nice. Moving on to the New York Yankees, they are up 3-0 over the Tampa Bay Rays in the bottom of the sixth inning. Boston and Philadelphia are tied 1-1 in the top of the eighth. In Cincinnati, the Cleveland Indians are up 8-0 over the Reds in the bottom of the sixth inning there. Also on the bottom of the sixth, Chicago White Sox are up 6-3 over the Detroit Tigers. It looks like the Tigers have two men on with nobody out. Bottom of the fourth inning in Atlanta, rookie Ronald Acuna has had his third consecutive leadoff homer to start off the game. But the Miami Marlins are up 6-4 over the Atlanta Braves. That's the bottom of the fourth inning there. Going into the top of the fourth inning, the Arizona Diamondbacks are up 2-0 over the Texas Rangers in Texas. Bottom of the third inning, the Pittsburgh Pirates are up 2-0 over the Minnesota Twins. Top of the third inning, you have no score between the Colorado Rockies and the Houston Astros. Top of the second inning, also no score between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Kansas City Royals. Top of the third inning, you have the St. Louis Cardinals up by a score of 3-0 over the Washington Nationals. And final from earlier today, the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Chicago Cubs by a score of 7-0. And your late games, that'll be starting in the 10 o'clock hour. Seattle will take on Oakland. In Oakland, the Angels take on the Padres in San Diego, and the San Francisco Giants take on the Dodgers in Los Angeles. So that is your live baseball scoreboard games that are happening now. And with that, we welcome Dave Hastings to the program. Dave, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, Mike. Doing good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. So I want to start off the show a little differently. If you have anything you would like to bring up, definitely feel free. But I want to start it a little differently than we usually do. Generally, we say things like movies for the end of the show, but have you seen this movie, Black Klansman, directed by Spike Lee?
No, I have not.
I just saw this movie this morning, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up real quick. Good movie. Definitely, if you get a chance to see it. I don't know if you saw the trailers for it at all, but definitely a good movie. It was a bit of a trip, especially the ending, because have you seen the trailers for it at all? You know what the story is?
No.
Okay. This is actually based on a true story of a guy named Ron Stallworth, black guy. He was the first black officer in Colorado Springs, and he actually successfully infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan. He did it. He would call the members of the KKK, and he'd have a white officer who's played by Adam Driver in the movie. He would actually do the physical infiltration. And it was a great gift. Denzel Washington's son is actually the main character in the movie, the guy Ron Stallworth. And I'm telling you, dude almost sounds exactly like Denzel. And Topher Grace plays David Duke. who of course was a Grand Wizard at the time. It's just a very good movie, very well done. And then the end of the movie, because the movie was released on the 1 year anniversary of the riots that happened last year in Charlottesville, that ended with the one guy who drove a car in there and killed the one woman. And they actually showed video of that. And I had never seen that video up to this point. It was intense, man. It was intense.
Yeah, to say the least, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I definitely recommend it. And I also recommend it to Erich Treslar, who's in the room right now. Erich, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
All right.
Ready to get sweaty.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get sweaty. And I asked Dave and I asked you, have you heard of this movie Black Klansman, directed by Spike Lee?
No.
Yeah. You should check it out if you get a chance. I don't know if you guys are into Spike Lee movies. I'm not going to pretend to have seen every Spike Lee movie. I feel like I've only seen like 2 of them.
I'm not going to pretend to know any Spike Lee movie at all. I mean, I'm sure I've seen one, but I honestly can't give you a title of any off the top of my head.
Do the Right Thing and Chirac, I feel like, are the only 2 Spike Lee movies I ever saw. What about you guys?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you right now.
Huh. You guys ever saw Do the Right Thing? That was a good movie. That was a good movie. All right. Well, before we move on to actual sports stuff, anybody have any other movies they brought up recently would like to bring up here? Dave, Eric?
I mean, I bought Avengers Infinity War today. I got that much for you.
I actually got that on iTunes myself. I was watching, they have a director's roundtable with like 7 or 8 of the directors who have directed multiple movies in the MCU. That's pretty good. You should watch that. Eric, what about you?
No, I'll be honest. I've been crazy busy lately and haven't had a chance to see much. The only thing I've seen lately is the Mission Impossible movie, which was pretty good. You know, it was Mission Impossible.
I like that. I thought that was pretty good. I did like that. Well, all right. So let's move on. Before I bring a couple things up, and of course we are going to be previewing the AFC and the NFC Southern divisions tonight. We'll save that for a little while. Either of you guys have anything you would like to bring up tonight? And Dave, I'll start with you.
I mean, honestly, the biggest thing I was thinking about this past week is how kind of pointless preseason games can be at times. I mean, at least, I don't know. I know they're necessary and they're warm-up games and, whatever, but I don't know. For some reason, I just watch those games. You hear about guys getting hurt, and you just kind of shake your head and wonder why they play. I guess why they play 4 of them is probably what I prefer.
Money, season tickets. It's the only reason they play 4 of them. Making money.
Yeah,
even if they only get a half a crowd at the game, they're still making money on the game. Those tickets are still already sold. It doesn't matter to them. It's just money, and they're never gonna cut it down because of the money factor. The only way they could possibly do it is to say, all right, well, we'll take 2 out of the preseason and we'll put 2 more in the regular season, and that's how they get to their 18-game regular season. But outside of that, I don't see a way of doing it because the owners aren't going to take a loss in any way.
Well, if I could chime in, I don't really like the idea of turning. Oh, sorry. I just want to say real quick, I don't really like the idea of turning them into 2 regular season games because I feel like the quality of those 2 games would be absolute garbage because you're playing them during a time where people are still trying to get ready for the regular season. And again, you turn 2 games that are relatively meaningless into 2 mandatory games. You're asking for even more injuries than there already are.
I agree, but I'm just saying the owners eventually want to get to an 18-game regular season somehow. I don't really see a way to do it. I think it's all a terrible idea, and I'm kind of with Dave in the fact that I just think it's bad football. I don't want to hear about injuries. I don't want to see it. Like, there's no need for it. The game would be better off with 2 preseason games. It's all you need to get ready for the season and then get going. It's all you need. It's a money grab. It's sad, but it's why it's a business. And we as fans hate it, but as a business, they're gonna pick the money every time.
Eric, you got some rebuttal?
Yeah, I mean, look, honestly, I just really think and like that's the thing, like Eric said, it's about the money, and when it's really all said and done, yeah, I watched the first full quarter of the Cowboys preseason game, so they got TV ratings out of me. Their sponsors got their commercials played in front of my face, like. So I mean, like, I get that aspect of it, but it's like when you just think about football, the game itself. I mean, look, you can tell within basically 2 games what guys should be on your team and what guys shouldn't be, where you got weak spots, where you should be looking. And I mean, these guys are at OTA or, the voluntary workouts, a month and a half after the season's over. Like, stop making them voluntary, make them mandatory, increase the, workload physically on them earlier so they really never get out of football shape. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like I said, I think it all goes back to what Eric said. It goes down to the money. And if they're going to get rid of preseason games, then they're replacing them with regular season games. They're not going to just get rid of preseason games and keep a 16-game schedule. That's just not going to happen. You want to do 2 games me personally, 2 games works. You want to still keep the Hall of Fame games special, so maybe one team plays 3 preseason games, whatever. Well, I don't know. You watch it and then you sit there and shake your head when all of a sudden.
Is that game really special, though? Let's ask ourselves. Does that Hall of Fame game really mean anything at all? Just there on opening weekend. The players play a series. I mean, the real people anyway, the real guys you're going to see on Sunday. Is there any reason for, like, it's not a grand thing. Like, I don't look forward to the Hall of Fame game every year. Do they even need it?
If they want to make it special, you know what they could do? Take the 2 best high school teams in the nation and let them play each other in front of Hall of Fame NFL players. Imagine how much more that.
There you go. Do something like that. That's a good idea. That's a solid idea right there, my friend.
Well, I'd say I think another idea, and I like that idea. That's actually pretty good. Why do you have the Hall of Fame game in August before any actual real games start? Why don't you have a Hall of Fame game? Put it in the middle of the season. You can make the whole schedule around that. Put 2 really good teams. Like, honestly, if I see the Cowboys and Packers playing in Canton for a Hall of Fame game, and you actually make the ceremony in like October or November or something, to me that's 100 times more worth watching than watching it in August.
But again, it's about the money. They already got your eyes and your viewership in the middle of the season. They're trying to get it back in the beginning in August. Do you know what I mean? So they had to put some kind of flair on it. It does nothing for them in the middle of the season.
Yeah, but I get that, and I'm not arguing with you on that. But I think it would do something in terms of making it more special. Because to me, I'm with Dave in that I do view it as a special type thing. But I also see your point in that it's not really special when you consider it's basically another preseason. So that's all I was getting at. But I get where you're coming from on that. Here's something I wonder, because to talk about the pointlessness of the preseason. You saw it this past week with what was it, Baker Mayfield? Can we stop? I mean, I figure you would think enough times we have seen one guy have a really good preseason game or a really good preseason, and he gets all hyped up, and then he gets to the regular season and completely craps out. You would think we have seen enough of that to the point where people are able to temper their expectations about players.
Mike, I can't believe you'd say something like that.
I think I know what you're going to bring up, but go ahead.
I mean, how else did Tony Romo make the 53 to then take Bledsoe's starting job? I mean,
I thought you were going to go with Dak Prescott, truthfully.
No, you have Tony Romo, Prescott got it, and then you end up Prescott really got it because Romo got hurt. Even with how well he played, Romo was your starter week 1, so I won't even count Prescott. We'll even relate even close to the Eric side of things with the Giants. Where do you think Victor Cruz came from?
Here's my rebuttal, though. Victor Cruz had the big preseason and didn't do anything for another year. That whole year, his first preseason where he really came on, That year after, he didn't do anything in the regular season. It was the year after. It was post-type with them. And I agree with you on Romo. I agree with you on Prescott. For every one of those guys, you have a guy like Deshaun Kaiser who had a great preseason last year, and look at his regular season. Okay.
So, I got loud neighbors.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead, though.
No, look. Yes, for every good player you have, you got probably 5 bad players. But like, there are guys that get found in the preseason. I'm not saying eliminate the preseason. I'm just saying 4 games and putting these, especially your starters, at risk. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I agree with the idea of eliminating preseason games. I hope, because to go to Eric's point that it's all about money. To me, the only way the NFL would eliminate the preseason games is to make them regular season games. I don't want them to do that. Eric, any final points?
No, NFL needs to stop worrying so much about money to make enough of it. Start making some better decisions for the longevity of the game.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot over the last few years how their greeniness is really starting to catch up to them, and you would think that they would use that as an opportunity to be like, to just like take a step back a little bit there. Anyway, all right, I want to bring up one last point, then we'll go into the division preview. So earlier it was announced Ben Roethlisberger suffered a concussion. He's in concussion protocol, and I just want to talk about it because while Roethlisberger hasn't suffered a concussion for about 3 years, I think we all can see at this point it's definitely getting closer to the end of his career. You look at what Pittsburgh has in terms of backup quarterbacks. They drafted Mason Rudolph. They drafted the dude, I think his name was Josh Dobbs, in the 4th round last year. They have Landry Fields. Is Pittsburgh prepared for life after Ben Roethlisberger if he were to start the season not being able to play in the regular season? And Dave will go to you.
I mean, look, they have pieces in place, on both the defense and offense where, they can stay a competitive team. But the problem is when you need it, if you need to get one of those top, number 1, number 2 draft pick quarterbacks, having a competitive team doesn't really benefit you because then you're coming in around 500 and you got to sacrifice more draft picks to get up to where you want to get to. Or, you hope a guy that you really like falls to you, later in the first round. But all things considered, I mean, if there's one thing, that's kind of always been a consistent in football, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, we're old enough to know that, they were good in the mid-'90s. They were good in the early 2000s when they first drafted Big Ben. They've been good since Big Ben. You can go back to the set. I mean, like, it's that kind of a franchise where they're always going to be able to find a way to be relevant. So, are they completely prepared? I'm not going to say yes, but I'm definitely not going to sit here and say that, within a year or two after him being gone, they're fighting for, a division title. And not to mention, look at the division they're in. Cincinnati doesn't really scare you over the long term. Baltimore doesn't really scare you over the long term. And maybe Cleveland in about 5 years is going to be a real, a competitive team again. But I don't. It's not like they play in the toughest division either, so that'll help them as well.
Okay, Eric, what do you say?
2 parts. Are they ready for life after Big Ben? No. Are they ready for life without Big Ben for maybe like 4 games? Yeah, absolutely. They're just fine. And for the reasons that Dave was mentioning, that they're built well, they're have a solid defense, have a good run game behind Le'Veon Bell. So no matter who you put there, you don't have to ask the world of them or, to really have them even go out and win a game. Just manage it. So they can get by for a couple weeks, even 6 games even. But the season, no, I don't think, they're prepared for a season. I don't think they have the quarterback on the roster now that's the successor to Big Ben. I think they're hoping to get 2 or 3 more years out of Ben before they start worrying about drafting probably the successor. Maybe they'll worry about that next draft, but probably more likely the draft after.
Okay. So you don't see someone like Mason Rudolph being the successor to Ben Roethlisberger?
Absolutely not.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I think you would know more about him than I do, so I would defer to you on that.
Zero. Like I said, they can get by for a few games, but there's nobody there that's like you're gung ho about. Like, yeah, that's who I'm handing. That's who I got my guy. He's my guy every Sunday. No, he's not. That guy's not on the roster right now.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't really think they're prepared. I think if they go down for 6 weeks, we've seen Landry Jones as a starter to Ben Roethlisberger. There was a huge drop off there. I would be interested to see what Rudolph could do if they give him the reins for a couple weeks. I know nothing about this dude, Josh Dobbs. Doesn't exactly inspire confidence. I would be pretty worried if Roethlisberger doesn't start the season, in my opinion. So there's that. And I said we were going to go on after this, but there was one other thing I wanted to bring up that there's no.
Hold on, wait! I didn't get to bring anything up yet.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
How can we go and talk about the week in sports since we last talked and not talk about Tiger Woods' second place performance at the PGA Championship?
Oh my God, that drive on 17 killed him. On that par 5, he put it right on the hazard. Oh,
14 under to go 6 under on the day, come back. I mean, dude, he looked good.
And those crowds following him were reminiscent of back in the day, to say the least.
Listen,
dude, the hype is real right now for Tiger.
I will say this because y'all know I'm not the biggest golf fan in the world. Did not watch the PGA Championship because I was working on Sunday, but obviously I heard everything about it. I think it's great that he was actually able to make it that far in the tournament and have a second place finish. Golf needs Tiger Woods because there is no other superstar than him, and it absolutely needs him. I think it's a shame it happens at the end of the season, though. I think it's a shame we now have to wait 6 months for the next major to see if he can do it again, though. What do you think?
Yeah, but you got the Ryder Cup coming up, so that's still another chance to watch him play. He's definitely making that team.
Which one is this?
The Ryder Cup. It basically USA golfers versus European golfers, I believe.
No, I remember the Ryder Cup. I definitely remember that. I'm old enough. I remember Fuzzy Zeller making the racist comments towards Tiger Woods when he first came up. So that's what I equate to the Ryder Cup. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, and you got it. And I mean, Eric, just because you bring that up, I think it's fair to ask, and I think it's the case. But you go back to Tiger's years in his prime. If he was coming up on you and only a stroke or two behind, and you're hearing the roars behind you, and you're the guy with the lead, you go back to Tiger's prime. Most guys choked on that because all they kept telling themselves is, "Oh my God, I got to play perfect, or Tiger's going to beat me." And this guy that ended up taking first place, he was cool, calm, and collective. He didn't break a sweat. I was beyond impressed with his moxie, but I think it was also a sign that nobody, none of these young kids look at Tiger the way that people looked at him in his prime.
Now, see, normally, you would think about it and you'd go, yeah, that's the way it feels. But I actually heard a really interesting stat the other day. I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. Tiger's 14 majors, won none of them when trailing going into Sunday.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
He was trailing going into Sunday. There was no reason to believe he was actually going to win. So, I don't know. It's just really interesting. I thought just a different take because I know the way you feel about it. The stats just don't back it up.
Well, I will.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I will say this. I guess that just goes to show that Tiger, when he was in his prime, was so dominating. He never had to worry about coming from behind. So I know that's probably stating the obvious, but still, that's an amazing stat, though. Good job with that, Eric. All right, Eric, do you have anything else? Because I want to bring this up real quick, and then we're going to move on.
No, that was really what I had for you. I thought that was an interesting take from the weekend.
No, it definitely was, and I thank you for bringing it up because I would have completely forgotten about it. That was impressive. Definitely impressive. Nice to see him back. So the last thing I want to bring up is this rumor that Dez Bryant is going to be meeting with the Cleveland Browns tomorrow. And I want to know, do we think Dez Bryant actually lands with the Cleveland Browns come the start of the regular season? Never would have thought it would have come to this. That Dez didn't get the contract he wants, so the Cleveland Browns are actually a real possibility now. But what do you guys think about it? And I went to Dave first on the first couple of things. So Eric, why don't you start off this one? Yeah, okay.
Can you smell what Dez is cooking? He's going to Browntown.
Yeah.
That's just sad. I mean, I guess, listen, he's still talented. Somebody should pick him up. I think he's got some good years left. I don't know why teams haven't. I'm a little curious as to what teams may know that we don't, because usually talent finds a place somewhere. And
well,
I don't know.
If I may, Eric, I know a couple teams had offered Dez like 3-year contracts, but Dez didn't want them. Dez wants a 1-year contract to reestablish his value so he can go after a big money contract next season.
Yeah, I don't know if Cleveland's the place to go for that one.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Because you look at what Cleveland's done. I mean, listen, I know every year Cleveland winds up, we think there's a chance Cleveland winds up coming out of the cellar, and then they go winless or 1-15. They added Jarvis Landry, decent backfield. You got a legitimate quarterback, in my opinion, in Tyrod Taylor. Not a great quarterback, but a legitimate one. You actually have some weapons around him. If Dez is able to put up anywhere close to a season he would regularly have with the Cowboys, I don't know. I think it's possible.
Look, I don't think it's impossible, and I don't think, I have heard the same thing that Dez wanted a 1-year deal so he could reestablish himself. I just think there's other teams he could have went to with better quarterbacks on a veteran minimum, taken that, and then just rode with it after the year. But I know him and Jarvis Landry are boys, and honestly, for him, he's been just kind of, I follow him on Twitter. He's really just been watching games and getting right, and to me, he's going to be fine. I think he's still got a couple years left in him as well. But really quick, since we're talking about Cleveland, just had to throw this out there. Bud Light chose 10 random bars in the city of Cleveland, filled them with Bud Light. They have chain locks around all of them, and they will be unlocked, and every beer in there is free when the Browns win their first game.
Well, I hope it happens this season for the city of Cleveland's sake. What do you say, Eric?
I mean, that's pretty fun for the people of the city of Cleveland, especially if you live by one of those bars. I don't know. I think it's an interesting promotion, an interesting idea, and why the hell not?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll win a game this year, like we've been talking about. They have a little bit of talent. We always, we might expect them to maybe try to crawl out of the cellar, but the Browns are still going to have a losing record. But they do have some more talent, so I do expect them to win a couple games this year.
I mean, a lot of it, excuse me, over the last couple of years, a lot of it is just that the team wasn't that good. But I think we can recognize the team had a ton of bad breaks over the last couple of years. And if they can just avoid a few of those, I think it's possible. I mean, like you said, Eric, they're still going to have a losing record, but everything breaks right. I think it's possible they can put together 4 or 5 wins. And in my opinion, that would be a great season for them, considering what the last 2 years have been. Dave, you want to put the final cap on that?
Hey, I think they can definitely win 4 games this year. And I think if they add Dez and Gordon comes back, they might even win more than that.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. If Dez could go somewhere where you think he could actually work, where do you think he could go that Dez could actually show off and be able to help the team?
I don't want to admit this because I still hold a grudge for them from the mid-'90s. I think we might have said this at one point. I feel like Dave said this at one point, but San Francisco. Because you look at it, they don't have a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. They have some good wide receivers there. but you put Dez on that team with Garoppolo as the quarterback, I think that could work. Dave, what about you?
I've loved the people that have thrown the Saints out there. I think he's a perfect fit for Drew Brees Austin, kind of take over what that role Marquise Colston had.
That's a good one. They have a lot of weapons, though. I just wonder if Dez would be able to handle not being the number one target there, because he wouldn't be the number one target there. That's my only thing. But it would be fun to watch. Definitely be fun to watch. Eric, what about you? Why don't you answer real quick?
I'm gonna throw a weird, wild one out there at you.
Okay.
And only because I think going off of what you guys are saying in the 1-year deal, where he can go show off and they can always use more help for his quarterback who never seems to have enough for any receivers, in my opinion, because I really don't have any faith in Doug Baldwin. And that's Russell Wilson. Why can't he go up to Seattle, show off, play well? Russell Wilson can get him the ball. He'd probably be the most talented receiver on the roster. And, reestablish himself.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I could definitely see it. Be interesting to see him coexisting with Pete Carroll, though. That's my only thing. All right.
That's why it's a 1-year deal. On a 1-year deal, anybody can coexist for 1 year. You could try anything for one season.
That's true.
Especially if you're not tied.
I can give you that. Absolutely. All right. So let's get started on the preview AFC and the NFC Southern divisions for this season. We will start with the NFC Southern Division. Last year, this division had 3 teams make the playoffs. It had New Orleans, Carolina, and Atlanta. New Orleans, of course, lost to the Vikings in the semifinals of the playoffs on the errant play by the quarterback, completely dodging out of the way of Stephon Diggs, who ran into the end zone for what would be the winning score. So you have that injury coming into the season, and you also have Tampa Bay, who was at 5-11 last year. They look like a team that was on the rise for the last couple of seasons. Didn't exactly progress the way anybody thought they would, and now they enter the season with a bit of a question mark in terms of Jameis Winston, who will be beginning the season with a 3-game suspension for his off-field problems. So let's start with this division. Dave, I'll go back to you. Give us a quick little overview of this division, your thoughts on the NFC South.
I mean, really, when I think of this division, I think it's kind of really everybody but Tampa. I don't know, man. I really look at that Tampa Bay team and, every time they add a piece, they lose a piece, or something seems to be the right choice or go the right way, something else goes the wrong way, and they lose Doug Martin, they add Jason Pierre-Paul, they make a move here. Like, I really don't have any faith in the team as a whole when it comes down to being anything more than maybe a 6 or 7 win team. Atlanta, the second year under I think it's Sarkisian as their offensive coordinator. So I think that's a huge move for them and could be really beneficial getting into that second year. Usually that's when the offense really kind of gets back into place because everybody knows the playbook a lot better. So I'm expecting a better year out of their offense. That defense is just fast. I mean, really, to me, the best way to beat Atlanta is you got to bully them because they're more of an athletic, fly-around defense and physical defense. New Orleans, I mean, to me, it all comes down to whether or not that young defense grows or takes a step back because a lot of their top players on defense last year were rookies. So I'm really kind of curious to see, what happens with them. And Drew Brees is guaranteed for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns, and that's like low-end stats for him.
Yeah.
The dual threat in the backfield still, Michael Thomas another year wiser at wide receiver. So they're a threat. And then Carolina, to me, can Kuechly stay on the field and can Cam Newton complete enough passes to win them games? I feel like they're the easiest team to look at and know what, be able to figure out if they're going to be good or bad because it really just breaks down to those two things, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they've really been having they've already might have 2 starting offensive linemen out week 1. So that's never really a great thing. So yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a tight division. I don't think they get 3 teams in this year. I think Carolina maybe takes a little bit of a step back, and New Orleans takes a little bit of a step back. So I'm looking at Atlanta as the top team in the division.
Absolutely. Okay. Eric, why don't you go? What do you think about this division?
With all you guys, I think it's a clean sweep. It's everybody but Tampa. It's, they're just Tampa's got too many problems, too many headaches this year already. Isn't Jameis Winston? He's missing the first 3 games? Is it
3 games?
Yeah. So I mean, they're already starting off on a bad foot. I don't think they turn it around fast enough. I think they're the odd man really out of this division. I'm with you guys. I think Atlanta's probably the top dog, probably the team to beat. But, I mean, New Orleans a close second and Carolina is like a close third. I see them all as really good teams. I think Carolina's offense is going to improve another year from McCaffrey. Another year Cam, I mean, you can't really count him out. He's got a lot of talent. The defense, they can play defense. I agree, they're fast. The young Saints defense, we want to see what they do year 2. Again, Drew Brees, as solid as they come. And Matty Ice and the boys, I mean, Julio Jones. Now you add another rookie receiver in Calvin Ridley. That kid is really talented as well. That's definitely another threat, offensive threat for them, which, I mean, apparently they just can never need enough of. So I see it as a 3-team race as well.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think this is just a me thing, but, I mean, I agree with you guys are saying for the most part. I don't have faith in Carolina. I really don't. To me, this team has never really recovered from losing that Super Bowl to the Broncos the way they did. Cam Newton, in my opinion, yeah, he's got all sorts of talent. He's never really been the same player, in my opinion. He's never really come forth as the leader that we all wanted to be. He's been more the guy who acted like a baby in that post-game interview and walked out instead of really taking that next step to being the leader. So I just really wonder, I mean, they have talent on the field. I question their depth at wide receiver, but they do have plenty of talent. Tim McCaffrey, definitely going to be a great player in my opinion. But in my opinion, this is going to be a 2-team race. The Saints, listen, when we started the season last year, we were wondering if this was going to be the last season for Drew Brees and Sean Payton. And then not only did they turn it around, but we actually saw them have a legitimate defense for the first time in almost a decade. And I'm really interested to see what that team can do. And like Dave, I think it was you who said it. A lot of those guys were rookies last year. I'm really intrigued to see what they can all do in their second season. So you got that. And I think Atlanta is going to take a step forward. Like you said, this is going to be their second season with the new offensive coordinator. So I think those are your 2 teams right there. And I think Carolina is just going to fall short of being able to keep pace with them. So I will do my records for the teams first, my predictions for what I think everyone's going to finish at, and we'll go around to you guys. I say I'm going to say New Orleans and Atlanta both finish at 11-5, and I give the edge for the division to New Orleans. I say Carolina finishes at 9-7, and Tampa Bay, I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to say they finish with the same record they had last season at 5-11. Even though I really don't have any faith in Jameis Winston at this point. So you guys go ahead. Dave, we'll go back to you.
I'm sorry, you said you got New Orleans taking the division?
New Orleans taking the division with the same record as Atlanta at 11-5.
Word. I'm giving the division to Atlanta, actually at 11-5. New Orleans taking a wild card spot at 10-6. I got Carolina coming in at 9-7, and I actually got the same record you do for Tampa Bay at 5-11. I don't think they got better. I also don't think they really got that much worse.
Okay, I apologize. You said New Orleans for the division for you, or did I hear that wrong?
No, I got Atlanta at 11-5. New Orleans taking a wild card spot at 10-6.
Got it. Okay, Eric, go ahead.
I got pretty much the same as Dave. I got Atlanta at 11-5 taking the division. I have New Orleans taking a wild card at 10-6. I've been back and forth in my head on the Panthers, and I'm going to go a little different and say they also finished 10-6. Just be a little different than you guys. And 5-11 for, or no, I'm going to go 6-10 for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that's awfully generous of you. That's very nice of you. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left here, a little less than 5 minutes left. We're going to go real fast through the AFC South. Jacksonville took this division last year at 10-6. They made it pretty far in the playoffs, too. Made it all the way to the AFC Conference Championship game. Tennessee finished at 9-7. Indianapolis and Houston both finished at 4-12. Andrew Luck missed the entire season for Indianapolis. Houston looked like it could win the division. Lost J.J. Watt, lost Deshaun Watson midway through the season, which was really a shame because Watson looked like he was having a spectacular season. And those are really the big stories surrounding the division. Can Jacksonville continue what they did last season? What will Houston be like with Watson back? And can Luck get back to his previous glory? Real quick thoughts from you guys. We're going to go 30 seconds apiece. Eric, let's start with you.
I think it's a really tough, tight division. I think all four teams are talented. I like all four teams this year.
Yeah.
So I think they're just going to end up beating each other up.
Yeah, I can see that. Dave, go ahead.
Look, last time Andrew Luck was 100% healthy and played a full season, the Colts lost in the AFC Championship game. So he obviously, just like back in the Manning days, elevates them to different levels. Houston, if they can stay healthy, is maybe one of the most talented rosters in the league. Tennessee, I feel like we all think they're better than maybe they actually are, but I don't know. New head coach, new coaching staff, so that'll be an interesting twist. And then Jacksonville, look, bottom line is, can they do what they did last year? We all can agree on that. It's that simple. Can they do what they did last year?
Absolutely. All right, so let's hear from you guys first for season predictions here. Eric, we'll go back to you. How do you think the division shakes out?
I think the division shakes out. I'm going to take Houston winning the division at 10-6. I think they take a big shot. I'm going to take a chance and say Deshaun Watson's healthy all year. And I think they have a really talented roster. I'm going to take Indy right behind them at, I'm going to say 9-7. I think Luck comes back, has a good year. I just don't have much faith in their defense for some reason. Not a big Colts defense fan. So I think that they'll be in a lot of games because they'll be able to score points, but maybe not necessarily win as many. Jacksonville, I think, takes a step back this year. I think they're 8-8, 500. I think Fournette will hopefully have a similar season to last year, but I just don't see them performing as well. And Tennessee, I'm also going to take it 8-8. I think they're both really talented. Or they're another team that, we expect a lot out of. We hear a lot about, like whispers. Oh, they're talented. They got this, they got that, but never seem to really put it together. I think it's another season where they're there in the middle. So
okay.
8-8.
All right, so we got about a minute and a half here. Dave, go ahead. Why do you think the division shakes out?
I'm actually going to go with Eric and got Houston taking the division at 10-6. But I got Jacksonville also at 10-6. Indy at 9-7, and again, Tennessee, I just think is one of those teams we think are better than they really are, but they're not a bad team. So I got them at 8-8.
Okay, I'm gonna stick with Jacksonville. I think they can do it again. I'm interested to see what Bortles can do after all the experience he got last season. Let's see what he can do. He'll be at Jacksonville at 10-6. Houston and Tennessee tie at 9-7, and Indianapolis I got at 7-9. Luck coming back is going to be huge, but I still wonder about the talent that's going to be around them. So that's why I can't put them higher than that. All right, so that is going to do it for us here tonight. I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank you both for being here. Real quick, last words, guys. Dave Hastings.
Until next time, gentlemen, it's always a pleasure.
Yep, always fun, man. Erich Treslar.
Let's go Yankees. Stay sweaty.
Yep, stay sweaty, my friends. Thank y'all for listening. I am your host, Mike Aglialoro. We will see y'all next week.